Bookies. Today we are going to do a massive mail haul. So let's get started. I've been gone for a bit. And I let the mail pile up. This is all from 1 week. I'm just going to start that off. This is all from 1 week. Oh, there is a bug. Freaking moth. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if some of this came off of this stuff. So what had happened was my mother and my dad, they stopped by and they dropped off a bunch of stuff. They're still not really talking that much, so they just kind of dropped it off without any explanation, really, except that it was my stuff. Although, I will say, I took everything I wanted, but it's okay. I found stuff that I wanted out of these piles. Everything else I'm selling. So, when I was opening the boxes and everything, aside from a ton of Barbie merch, like special collectors, I did keep this one. This is Lucille Ball, the vitamin commercial, Vitavitamin, whatever. Keeping that one because I love Lucy. But among them were a lot of like my childhood stuff. So like I got a bunch of like my dolls. So like this one that I'm pretty sure I got when I went out west into Oklahoma. Maybe not, but this one is a handmade Navajo doll, and it has a certificate of authenticity. I don't know if that's a real certificate of authenticity, but she is gorgeous, so I'm saving her. Oh, her little feet got a little bent. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. And this one, her band is covering her eyes. Come on, baby. I don't want... Aw, I've ruined your hair. Actually, I'm going to blame this on my mother. My mother ruined your hair by stuffing you in a bin. I think you were already in a bin, but we're going to... Yeah, I drew on you. I drew you some eyebrow extension... Or not eyebrow, eyelash extensions. I'm so sorry. But I found these cute little dolls. I am so sorry about your eye. I don't... 10-year-old Paige was a menace to society. We will just leave it at that. Also, your little hand's been backwards. I do collect porcelain dolls. This is a porcelain indigenous doll. So, she will be right at home. I will fix her up and everything. I'll try to fix her up to the best of my ability. But after I got through all the dolls, I found a whole box tub, like about 4 feet tall, that is absolutely full of books. A lot of them or all of them really, from my childhood. So I went through all of them, deciding what to keep, what I didn't want to keep. I found such a massive American Girl doll haul. So I'm keeping the majority of those because I do want to reread a lot of them. I'm going to start with the American Girls themselves, the ones that were the face of me American Girls. But I also have the Dear America series. I have a couple of the Royal Diaries, some of the American Girl novels, the American Diaries, My Name is America, and My America book. And then, I don't even know what this was, but it was hosted on the Dear America website. I have a bunch of stuff. So let's get started with these. These were little books that you could buy separately or that came with different purchases. I was absolutely obsessed with historical fiction books. I still really like them. Not as much currently, but I was so obsessed with this series and just so obsessed with learning the past and everything, which is probably why I scroll through like TikTok and I find stuff like that's historical and I'm like, yeah, I kind of do that. I kind of do that. Because you know, from an early age, I knew that the history books and all of the textbooks really in school were kind of crap. They didn't teach the full story. Just going to tell you that right now. I'm sorry, kids. you're going to have to do your own research, because the history books that they give you in public school and in private school, any schools really, they're kind of shit. So I developed a love of history, still like doing a lot of historical stuff, but I really had a love for American Girls. So we have these are 2 little short books for Felicity. Felicity is a 1775 girl, kind of on the wrong side of history. I'll get more into her in a second. I just kind of want to get these out of the way because they keep falling down. But we have Felicity's New Sister and Felicity Discovers a Secret. I don't even know where to set these. I'm going to have to catalog them later. We got Josephina. This was 1824, I believe. Wow. Bug stuff on here. Look, the boxes that my parents used were not very well secured. So I've been trying to clean off them the best I can. But 1824 girl living in like the Southwest area, and a lot of Hispanic heritage, stuff like that. It's a great series. I love Josephina. Then we have my absolute favorite American Girl, and I'm so disappointed that they don't sell her stuff anymore, or else I would be buying a lot of it. It is Kirsten, 1854 girl. She's Swedish. She immigrated over from Sweden to America, lived out in the frontier, kind of Laura Ingalls Wilder inspired, kind of, which is why I kind of liked her. I really liked Laura Ingalls Wilder. But I have Kristen Snowbound, Kristen on the Trail, and Kristen in the Chippewa. Next we have Addy, 1864 girl. She was a former slave. She ran to freedom, and she grabbed her freedom and started getting her other family members back, like her dad and her brothers. Absolute icon. Love her to death. I have high hopes for Addy, and Addy studies freedom. Then we have Samantha, who is probably my least favorite, but for some reason is a lot of people's favorite. I don't know why. Anyways, 1900s girl. I like 1904. They all end in 4 if you can't catch the theme. 1904 girl, so like the early Victorian era. We have Samantha's Blue Bicycle and Samantha's Winter Party. I have one Kit, a little short booklet. Kit is a 1934 girl living in the Great Depression era. This is Kit's Home Run. And then another absolute least favorite of mine. And this is the one that a lot of people share my opinions of. It's Molly. I'm so sorry, Molly, but I don't like you. I have Molly's A+ Partner and Molly Takes Flight. This is a 1944 girl living during World War II. And now we have the book series. So we're going to start with, we're going to go from earliest to latest. But I'm going to start with one whose series came out after, like, the more, like, primary girls of my American Girl doll period. But one that I highly enjoy, highly recommend, as well for younger kids. It's Kaya. So you'll notice that when I go through her books, that her book format does not follow the others. When they got to her and they created her story, they stopped doing that format, kinda. I don't think they do it anymore, but they definitely changed it for Kaya's story. So we have Meet Kaya. She's a 1764 indigenous girl. I can't remember what tribe she is from. Oh, a Nez Perce girl. Nez Perce. I'm sorry, I'll put the thing here. But yeah, beautiful indigenous history and everything. Kaya's Escape. Kaya's Hero. Kaya and Lone Dog. Kaya Shows the Way, and Changes for Kaya. So Kaya has a really interesting history. Kaya is a very, very smart girl. Intelligent, very brave, and a really good horseman. She loves riding her horse, who is Steps High, I believe is what their name is. And the first book kind of shows her, like, she has a boasting attitude, and when that leads to something, the whole tribe gets punished, and so she has to kind of reconcile with that. Not in, like, something dangerous happens, but in that she does something stupid, and so all the village children get punished for it because they're very big into like community learning. This book too, where she gets captured, poor Kaya and her sister, who get captured by white men. White man? No. That's always a white man. She meets with, after that whole ordeal, she meets with someone from a neighboring village who is very brave. She aspires to be her. And so her arc is kind of like, I kind of want to be a leader, someone that is not like the leader, but like someone that a lot of people in her village look up to. She wants to protect her village and stuff like that. It's a very, very sweet story. Overall, I think it's really well done, and I love the indigenous culture and stuff like that. That's what American Girl really does best, I think, is that they highlight a lot of different time periods, so you learn a lot about the history surrounding those time periods. So 1764 would be around the time of the French Indian War, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, go and check out Kaya. I highly recommend Kaya. So next up we have Felicity, which is, you know, she's one of the OGs, I think. So her stuff is going to follow a very formulaic pattern that you'll see. But you see meet Felicity. In this one you meet Felicity. She is very spunky, redhead. I love her to death. Because us redheads gotta stick together. But she is kind of on the wrong side of the American Revolution. That she is on the British side, but when she has to house a rebel in her stables, and she gets to hear his side of the story and why he's fighting and stuff like that, she starts to change her attitude and tries to inspire change within her community that are British loyalists, which kind of goes as good as kind of how you would do now. She has a little bit more success than we are currently with, you know, certain people. Anyways, so meet Felicity. Felicity learns a lesson. And also, like, I want you to take note of the desk. I don't know why, but as I was putting these in order, I got so fascinated with the way that the desks were positioned and everything and made. This is going to be one of those ADHD, like, fascination things where I take a very deep dive into desk construction throughout American history. I don't want to, but I'm fascinated by it. Anyways, Felicity's surprise. They had a doll with that dress color and everything. Adorable. Happy birthday, Felicity. And let me just tell you, like, so like they're labeled by like, this is a springtime story. This is a school story. This is an American Girl story. This is a Christmas time story. So I think all the girls had a birthday in the spring. I don't know. I'll look at that as we go through them. Felicity saves the day. She is also a horse person. She's also a horse girl. Her and Kai would have got along. Changes for Felicity. And look, we are both kind of in a cast. I hurt my hand. And then they started doing these side stories, kind of like with the short book stories, but these were folding stories featuring other characters and stuff like that sometimes. This one features Elizabeth, who is Felicity's best friend. It's Elizabeth Cole. And it looks like... No, they didn't have it anymore. They just had a very funny Elizabeth. I also got... Oh my gosh. Where is my sanitizer? You know how hard it is to pick up stuff when you have, like, one hand that can't do a lot? Because it sucks. And yes, I've been having to wipe off these books because, again, the tubs were not sealed properly. I got this. So I have everyone else's. Yes, even Kaya. I see Kaya at the bottom. So I have everyone else's. So this one's going to complete the collection. Very excited. These were books that were released that gave a lot more historical detail. So, like the history surrounding what was going on in America at the time, different toys, different stuff that kids were doing, and I have to commend American Girl. They boldly talked about slavery and the slave trade, and they did not, they didn't really, I guess to some extent they did. They didn't go into the whole brutality of it because this is for children, but they did not shy away from the history and what was going on actively during that. So have to commend them for that. They did pretty good with that aspect. But yeah, I like these. I like collecting them. I might do a reread of them. I don't know. They were really interesting if I remember correctly. This one I have a mixed series of because I was buying these from McKay's. So sorry. But yeah, these were the original cover. So this is an original girl. It is Josephina, 1824. And her tagline is a Hispanic girl whose heart and hopes are as big as the New Mexico sky. So she's in like the New Mexico area before it became New Mexico. And I believe what her story was that her mother had died. And her, according to like, I think custom, or maybe he just liked her, I don't know. But her dad remarried and it was her mother's sister, so her aunt. So Josefina was dealing with a bit of a blended family situation, and grief about her mother's death, but she was also, at some point they moved, I think. I can't remember exactly, but they moved. But this one's really fascinating because when you look at history, you don't really talk about a lot of Latin/Hispanic history in America during the early times. So I really like this because it does talk about that. So we have Meet Josefina. Josefina learns a lesson. Josefina's Surprise, which is in hardback. I can't believe that these were ever released in hardback. So this one's a Christmas time story. And her dress is absolutely gorgeous. Happy Birthday, Josefina. Another springtime story. Also, there is her pet goat. Each of the girls had a pet. Josefina's is a goat. Josefina Saves the Day. I have no idea where I left off in that because my phone will just stop recording first and then it'll shut down. So I literally have no idea what the last thing I said about Josefina. But Josefina is amazing. I don't get a lot of Hispanic Latin stories early on in America. The history books don't really like to tell those stories. I'll fix you a little bit. There we go. So that's why I really like her series. It goes a lot into her culture and everything. It's really, really good. So now we will go into Kirsten. So Kirsten, my favorite. I love her to death. As I said before, she is a Swedish immigrant. So she did the whole immigration process from Sweden to America. So the first book goes heavily into that, about her immigrating and stuff like that, and then her having to learn English and being bullied for her not being able to speak English. And she starts to develop a love of reading along with that, which is why I really like her. She's a book nerd. So I empathize with her, and English is very hard. It's an amalgamation of a ton of different languages. It's its own language, but it's an amalgamation. We steal words constantly from different languages. So it's really, really hard to learn it. And honestly, if I grew up with a different language as my primary language, I probably would not even care to learn English. Just let you know. But we have Meet Kirsten. These are backwards because I already did them, but I didn't know that my camera cut off. We have Kirsten learns a lesson, and look at that. Look at that desk. It's a piece of wood. I'm amazed by the desk. I don't know why. We have Kirsten's Surprise. We have Happy Birthday, Kirsten. I love this outfit on her. And her animal was a kitty. Another springtime story. We're all born in the spring. Kirsten Saves the Day. And Changes for Kirsten. Now, the interesting thing about this is because this is one of the early American Girls, there's only 3 listed on the back. There's Kirsten, there's Samantha, and there's Molly. So those are pretty much the OGs. Let's see who's on the back of Josephina. Felicity, Josephina, Kirsten, Addy, Samantha, Molly. Okay, so we have almost the originals. Almost the originals that I grew up with. Next, we have the one that we were all waiting on. We have the goat, the girl who walked. So Kaya could run via horseback. The MVP, the greatest of all time. the best girl, the best American girl, Addy. Love Addy. As you can tell, she's obviously a black girl. She was born into slavery. So a lot of her first book goes a lot into her slave periods, what happened. The book doesn't shy away from the brutality of it. It does pretty good, seeing as these are first kids that are 7 and up. It does really good at being as truthful as it can while also keeping some boundary. So like you're not getting the full history of what it was like to be a slave during that time period, but you are getting a really good first-hand account. So Addy and her mom, they eventually make a run for it. They get to freedom. So her whole story arc revolves around getting the rest of her family to escape to freedom, them securing a home, her going to school for the first time and learning and getting a love of learning. I think she gets into activism a little bit in her books, which I love. But she is such a proud, courageous girl, someone that you need to read. Like, Kaya is a highly recommend. Josephina is a highly recommend. This is a highly, highly, highly recommend. But we have Meet Addy. We have Addy learns a lesson. Look at that fancy desk. We have Addy surprised with the most gorgeous dress I've ever seen and her beautiful little doll. We have Happy Birthday Addy, another dress that I like. And her pet was a little songbird. I believe that is a reference to Maya Angelou. We have this, which is Addy Saves the Day. I love that dress as well. Addy is a fashion icon. And Changes for Addy, again, another dress that I love. Absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know why I wrote on this book. Interesting, though, on the back of this one, it's Felicity, Kirsten, Addy, Samantha, Molly. So she was added after Felicity. Or maybe Felicity was right after her. I don't know. One or the other came. I don't know. Next, we have Samantha, who is not a favorite of mine, but her story is really good. She becomes an orphan after her parents die in a boating accident, I believe. So she's living with her grandmother, and she's a very adventurous girl. She befriends a servant girl. They share a lot in common. Both of them are orphans. At a certain point, Nellie, who's the best friend, the servant girl, she loses both of her parents, and it's up to her to care for her two youngest kids. And the thing happened that happened to a lot of orphans during the early 1900s when they lost their parents. She winds up, Nellie, not Samantha. Nellie winds up, I find Nellie's story much more interesting, can you tell? Nellie winds up in a for-profit orphanage where she is basically kind of sold to, not really sold, but she's forced to work and work to try to keep her sisters. They're trying to be separated when Samantha steps in and sneaks them out and hides them in her uncle and newly married uncle's attic. Of course, they're discovered. But it's a really sweet story that focuses a lot on adoption. So I think this is something that a lot of kids could really enjoy, could really see themselves in. And she is one of the OGs. So we have Meet Samantha. We have Samantha Learns a Lesson. And look at that fancy desk. Happy Birthday, Samantha. With a really pretty dress. I don't really like the knee socks, though. We have Samantha Saves the Day. And Changes for Samantha. Now, what was Samantha's animal? I feel like it was a dog. But I'm not entirely sure. I feel like it was a dog, though. You know, well, I have this book here. Oh, come on. You usually have the fuck is this? Oh, my God. It's paper dolls. Jip. Yep, it was a Cocker Spaniel. Of course. But this is Nellie's Promise. So this focuses a little bit on Nellie. And Nellie got quite a few books of her own to talk about her story. Cobwebs. Read those, figure out what happened to Nellie, what happened, because Honestly, Nellie is much more interesting to Samantha. I'm just going to be completely honest. Anyways, Kit, who was one of the girls that was created right before Kaya. She is living in the 1930s during the height of the Great Depression. And her family is very much struggling. They have to rent out their home to be kind of an apartment. So they do a lot of rearranging. She sees her dad in a soup kitchen line. And then she realizes, oh my God, we're broke. They kept that a lot from kids. What's really interesting is the lengths that your parents will go to not let you understand or see how bad sometimes situations are in life. Kit's parents are the best example of this. Kit also really likes journalism. She's a journalist, so she travels to a homeless camp and does interviews and stuff, and helps to try to inspire her community to do community gardening and stuff to help out the homeless population. So we have Meet Kit. Kit learns a lesson. Look at that fancy desk. Kit's surprised, and she has a little Amelia Earhart doll. Happy birthday, Kit, and she had a Basset Hound. This is one of the only reasons why I really like her. I like her more than Samantha and Molly. It's because I also had a Basset Hound around that time. I had a Basset Hound Cocker Spaniel mix. Kit saves the day, and that changes for Kit. And the last but my least liked is Molly. This is 1944. Her dad is drafted into the war. She has one or two brothers, I can't remember exactly, but her story goes a lot into about war rationing and stuff like that. I just thought that overall she was a little whiny, but some people really like her. I think my friend Jess might like her, so sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble. I don't like Molly. But I do like Molly's story overall, and I even got the Route 66 spinoff story. Anyways, we have Meet Molly. Molly learns a lesson. Look at that fancy desk. Not as fancy as Samantha's. Molly's surprise. Happy birthday, Molly, and that is her dog. A lot of them had dogs. Kaya actually had like 2 animals. She had Lone Dog and Stepside, which is because Kaya is amazing. Molly saves the day, and it changes for Molly. And then this is what I was talking about, the aftermath of Molly's story. They go on a Route 66 adventure. If you don't know, Route 66 was a functional highway. It was one of the only highways that was a complete highway between the beginning of the Midwest area, like Illinois, Indiana area, maybe Ohio, something like that. But it went all the way down to California. So especially after World War II ended, a lot of families ended up on that road to do a massive road trip, which I call a great summer vacation. That is, it's like, if you've ever watched Cars, you kind of get the gist. That is inspired heavily on Route 66. But it inspired a lot of small towns, a lot of tourist attractions, motels. It's really interesting. There's still some parts of Route 66 left that you can drive on, or that you can stop and go walk on. I've walked a little bit of Route 66, and I kind of want to go and do a big west trip and try to hit as much of Route 66 as still remaining. But this book is very fun. It goes through a lot of the history of Route 66, stuff that you would normally encounter, stuff like that. So that was a lot, but I have more American Girl stuff that is a little bit non-bookish. I have the bookmarks. I was a really big collector, and I won a couple of giveaways and stuff through them, so I got a lot of the bookmarks from them. This one is Kit's. So they're all decorated with kind of like the pattern that is on the girls' main clothing, and it's just a little thing with their little charms on the bottom. And it has, it has a quote from one of the books. This one is from Kit's Surprise. The huge public library seemed like a hushed, warm haven to Kit, filled as it was from floor to ceiling with books. This one is from Felicity Learns the Lesson. But I do love to read, Felicity said. I'd like to attend the college here in Williamsburg and read Greek and Latin and philosophy and geography, just as the young gentlemen do. Felicity was a feminist. She you know. If you know, you know. Anyways, Molly, from Meet Molly. Molly missed her father, a U.S. Army doctor stationed in England, every single minute of every single day. When a letter came from Dad, it was a surprise and a treat. Everyone gathered and listened in silence while Mrs. McIntyre read the letter out loud. My fave, Kirsten, and I love her so much that I accidentally tore off the pendant. I used this bookmark a ton, so the pendant is stuffed in here. But this is from Kit Learns a Lesson. As she read the poem, Kirsten could almost feel the ocean wind on her face and taste the salty spray on her lips. Swiftly, swiftly flew the ship. As you can tell, I have a little bit of a lisp. This one is Addy. I love the pink. This is from Addy Learns a Lesson. Addy showed Mama how to spell words by forming letters with scraps of leftover dough. Mama loved to write Sam, Papa, and Esther. Seeing their names makes me feel closer to them, she said. This one is from Samantha Learns a Lesson. Samantha opened the book. We're going to get you out of the second grade, Nellie. Why don't you start reading there? And when you come to a word you don't know, I'll write it on the blackboard so you can practice it. As much as I don't like Samantha, she was a really good friend. She is the example of what a good friend should be, and what I aspire to be. Just saying, she's a really good friend. She's not much more, but she's a really good friend. This is from Josephina Learns a Lesson. Josephina opened Tia Dolores' little book. When we can read this book, it will be like hearing Mama's voice. And when we can write, we can add things we remember her saying. This book will be a place to keep her words safe forever. Tia Dolores, who becomes Josefina's mother, I believe, goat, the best example of what a stepmother, foster mother, step-in parent, guardian, whatever, should be. Just saying. This one is from Kaya. From Kaya Learns a Lesson, which there was no Kaya Learns a Lesson. Where did they get this quote from? Anyways, Kaya had been told many stories about the stars to help her find her way. She gazed up at the vast star map shining above them. With the North Star called Elder Brother as her guide, she calculated the way west. I think this is from Kaya Escapes. She did not have a Learns a Lesson book. She did not follow the format. Kaya said, no, we're going to do this series my way. And still more to go. I also found a bunch of my dolls in here. So we have Addy. We have Josephina. We have a naked Kirsten. It's because I really liked her dress. So I was using it on a doll that I frequently used to play with and self-insert myself into different TV shows. It's weird, I know. Anyways, Samantha. This is a naked, well, not new. She's in her shift. Felicity. I also liked her dress, didn't use it. This is Kit. And this is Molly. Jess, if you're watching and you really like Molly, I can't remember if you told me that you did or not. You can come have Molly. You can come have her doll. I think it's the whole complete doll. Watch a spider jump out at me. Thank God there's not a spider in here. I would have cried. I would have hated Molly more than I did. I also have little portraits. So we have Kirsten and, oops, sorry, Kaya. We have Kaya right here. I don't know what you're supposed to do with them, but I have them. These little stand-up, I think these were kind of like paper dolls. So I have Kirsten, of course. Was anything that I could have with Kirsten, I did get. And then, Mom said I couldn't have a doll, and now they're like $300. I also have Kaya. And then I found some of my figurines. So we have Kit. We have Felicity. We have Molly. Again. If you would like a Molly, Jess, if you're into Molly, you can have this Molly. And Addy. All I ask is that you take care of Molly really good, because these were not cheap. They cost many a chore money, but you can have her because I love you. Anyways, that is all for the American Girls. Oh my God, that was a lot. That was a lot, like a lot. So I think I'm going to move on to the rest of this little stack I got right here. I found This book, it's called Assassin is the Lady Grace Mysteries. So I think I'm going to reread it and find the rest of the books and buy them. It seems really interesting. I remember really liking it, but it's set during the Tudor period. These are the Girls of Many Lands books. I believe I have more. They're probably in another tote in my parents' garage. But this is the ones that I found. This is Versailles. This one is Cecily? It's called Gates of Gold. It's during the Versailles era, 1711. So, like, during the Marie Antoinette era? Don't quote me on that. No. Before the Marie Antoinette era. This is Kathleen, the Celtic Knot, set during Dublin in 1837. Was this during the potato famine? I don't remember. I'm going to have to reread these. American Girl also did a ton of different diary sets, which I also really liked. They did a line of boys, which I thought was really cool because not a lot of stuff was for boys in the American Girl, so I'm glad they included some. So we have the Journal of Jasper Jonathan Pierce, a pilgrim boy from I can't get this word right. 1620. Plymouth, Massachusetts. I don't know why I look at that and I can't pronounce it. The Journal of Rufus Rowe, the witness to the Battle of Fredericksburg during 1862. We have the Journal of Ben Uchata, Citizen 1355-9. He is an internment camp survivor, which I believe now a lot of kids do not know about internment camps. So I don't know if they're cutting that out of the history books, but brief history. During World War II, America decided, since Japan has declared itself an ally of Germany, we're just going to take all of our Japanese citizens and put them into internment camps and keep them there as prisoners of war, basically. Yeah, no. Even people that were, like, born here, never been to Japan. Just, pisses me off still. Anyways, we have the Journal of Douglas Allen Deeds, which I found the most exciting out of these, because he is a Donner Party expedition survivor. 1846. If you don't know about the Donner Party, a group, I can't remember if they were Mormons or if they were just people just trying to move to a different part of the U.S. Anyways, a group of people, they're traveling, and their guide is like, well, it looks like winter's gonna come kind of early, so we're just gonna take this shortcut. And they're like, okay. Ends up going through the mountains, and that's where disaster strikes because they get caught by a snowstorm. A couple people die. Those dead people get cannibalized. It wasn't fun for anyone. But yeah, very gruesome. Like it. We have the Journal of Scott Pendleton Collins, a World War II soldier, 1944. I tended to ship him and Molly in my head. And then we have the Journal of Wang Ming Chung, a Chinese miner, 1852. I believe I have more of those. I believe I had one that was a boy that was born into slavery, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, I also have one My America, but I believe I had a couple more. I can't remember. But this is Message in the Sky, Corey's Underground Railroad Diary. Maybe this is the one I was thinking of. But this is book 3, so I gotta find book 1 and 2. But yeah, they flee slavery and they head to Canada, I believe is what the story is. Now, for the Dear America books that I will reread. I've started to buy a couple, some I had to purge those if these are in better conditions or vice versa, but I really do want to reread all of them. I want to read all of them. I think there's quite a bit. I think there might be 50 in the series. Don't know. Maybe I'll make that a video. Maybe I'll do like a how to Train Your Gavin type video and read the whole series in like one setting or something. He's amazing, by the way. So, we have A Journey to a New World, The Mayflower 1620. The Diary of Remember Patience Whipple. We have The Girl Who Chased Away Sarah, The Diary of Sarah Nita, a Navajo girl. This is during 1864 in the New Mexico area. And I believe she escapes from people that are trying to put her into a boarding school. I can't exactly remember her story, unfortunately. But again, these are great resources for what life might have been like for girls that survived tragedies in history such as this. This one's a special edition, and I'm not sure why, but it's The Land of Buffalo Bones, The Diary of Mary Ann Elizabeth Rogers, an English girl in Minnesota during 1873. Oh, maybe this is during that one really bad snowstorm. I can't remember. Anyways, A Light in the Storm, a Civil War diary of Amelia Martin, Delaware, 1861. Early Sunday Morning, the Pearl Harbor Diary of Amber Billows, Hawaii, 1941. As it's described, this one is set during the Pearl Harbor bombing. Love Thy Neighbor, a Tory Diary of Prudence Emerson, 1774. So kind of along the same vein of Felicity. This girl's on the wrong side of history, and she slowly changes her opinion. Voyage on the Great Titanic, The Diary of Margaret Ann Brady. We all know the story of Titanic. She is one of the unfortunate people that decided to sail on there. A Line in the Sand, The Alamo Diary of Lucinda Lawrence, Texas, 1836. This is set, as it says, during the Alamo. During, what is that war? The War of Independence for Texas? I can't remember exactly, but yeah, set in the Alamo area where that big battle happens. I'm butchering this, I'm sorry. My Secret War, which is the World War II diary of Madeline Beck. She is New York, 1941. I believe that gets into spying? I can't remember exactly. My Face to the Wind, the diary of Sarah Jane Price, a prairie teacher, Nebraska, 1881. This one's really interesting. Because during that time, all you had to do was complete a couple of college courses and you could be a certified teacher, which this girl did, and she wasn't that much older than a teenager, I believe. I Walk in Dread, the Diary of Deliverance Tremblay, witness to the Salem Witch Trials, Massachusetts Bay Colony, 1691. So, Salem Witch Trials girl. Survival in the Storm, the Dust Bowl Diary of Grace Edwards, Texas, 1835. So this one's set during the Dust Bowl. In the 1930s, there was a huge climate crisis. Well, there was a huge, kind of the climate crisis. There was a lot of drought in Texas, so they had what was called dust bowls, which are these really, really bad dust storms that killed a couple of people. Probably more than a couple, but it absolutely would cover everything in your house with sand. It would just get in everywhere. But in other parts of the world, like Ohio, they were experiencing flooding. Really bad flooding. I've seen a picture of a Ferris wheel that was almost completely submerged. It's crazy. So Far From Home, the Diary of Mary Driscoll, an Irish mill girl, Massachusetts, 1847. If you didn't know, when the Irish were experiencing the famine, and even before then and after then, when they were coming over, they experienced a lot of, I wouldn't call it racism, but a lot of prejudice. People did not want the Irish to work for them. I can't remember the exact reason why. I would have to read probably that book and probably a little bit more into that. But it's really interesting how the Irish were very heavily discriminated against. We have A Coal Miner's Bride, the Diary of Annika Kaminska, Pennsylvania, 1896. I believe I have a copy of this, but I think it might be in worse condition than this one. Oh my god. I left myself some paper. But this girl is kind of a mail-order bride situation, I believe, if I'm correct. Yeah, she's from Poland. She's basically a mail-order bride. Gets married off to this really old man. He's a coal miner. Has to raise his kids. It's a thing. It's a thing. Where Have All the Flowers Gone? The Diary of Molly Mackenzie Flattery, Massachusetts, 1968. This is during the, I think, Woodstock era? you know, the 60s. Anyways, when will this cruel world war be over? By God, I can't talk. The Civil War Diary of Emma Simpson, Virginia, 1864. So she was kind of in the middle of that. Ooh, Virginia saw a lot of conflict. Color Me Dark, The Diary of Nellie Lee Love, The Great Migration North, Illinois, 1919. So after the Civil War and the Reconstruction era, stuff like that, there was a great migration of black people and a ton of other people who decided the South ain't shit, and they decided to move north. That's what that book focuses on. My Heart is on the Ground, The Diary of Nani Little Rose, a Sioux girl. This is set during the in a Indian boarding school, the Carlisle Indian Schools, exactly 1880. So when you hear a lot of people talk about the Indian boarding schools, and how bad they were, how they tortured indigenous children, stuff like that, you're going to want to read this. This one does not shy away from a lot of the atrocities that happened there. Christmas After All, The Depression Diary of Minnie Swift, Indiana, 1932, Depression era book. Look to the Hills, The Diary of Lisette Monroe, a French slave girl, New York Colony, 1763. So like it says, it's going to focus on her story. I can't remember exactly what happened at that time, but I am interested in reading it. Standing in the Light, The Captive Diary of Catherine Carey Logan, Pennsylvania, 1763. I believe this is a girl that was taken captive by indigenous tribes to be held hostage in exchange for something. I don't know exactly, but still the white man did it. They caused it. I'm just going to say that. Just going to leave it there. The white men are the cause. Cut that out. Dreams in the Golden Country, The Diary of Zipporah Feldman, the Jewish immigrant girl in New York City, 1903. And the last one that I have for this series, A Time of Courage, a Suffragette Diary of Kathleen Bowen, 1917, Washington, D.C. So that goes a lot into the suffragist movement and everything like that. Okay. Now we have the Royal Diaries series. Alright, quickly going through these. This series focused on different female historical figures, placing them as teens, kind of. Some of them were a little on that, but preteen, teenish era, and telling their story and what they did and stuff like that. So we have Jahanara. I'm sorry. It's really early and my brain is not working really well. But this is the Princess of Princesses in India, 1627. Basically the first sentence says, "My father has 4 wives, but I am the daughter of the one he loves most. Arjamand Bana Begum. I too am a Begum, a princess." She's a princess. So she's like one of the most favored and stuff like that. So it gets into her story. And these are real girls, by the way. Real girls. Cleopatra. So we have a diary version of Cleopatra, daughter of the Nile, 57 BC. So it goes into some of her story. Kaiulani, the People's Princess, which I believe was the last princess of Hawaii. I can't remember exactly. But this is during 1889. I think she was one of the last. I can't remember. But this is pretty heartbreaking considering what happens to Hawaii after that. Marie Antoinette, Princess of Versailles. Austria, France, 1769. Another tragic one considering what happens at the end. This one's a special edition one. Lady of Chiao Kio, Warrior of the South, Southern China, 531 AD. This one sounds so cool. I have to do some reading. This is Kazun Omiya. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Please correct me. But this is Prisoner of Heaven, Japan, 1858. Wedemo. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this, but this is another indigenous girl. Heart of the Pocasets. This is a Massachusetts, Rhode Island area in 1653. And then my fave, Elizabeth I, the Red Rose of the House of Tudor, England, 1544. Pretty close to the end. I also have 2 American Diaries. These are kind of standalones, but there's series numbers on them, so I have to get into these and figure out where they are and buy them. But we have American Diaries, Zellie Blake, Massachusetts, 1834. So she lives at a boarding house after her grandma dies. And she's orphaned, and she's going to have to work at the mill. But these also have, like, little mysteries and stuff like that, too, and they were really interesting. And this one is Emma Eileen Groove, Mississippi, 1865. And she is also on the wrong side of history. Bad girl, because her first sentence says, I hate these Yankees. Bad girl. Bad girl. I don't remember if she changes her tune by the end, but knowing that it's American Girl, I'm pretty certain she does. And then we have these. These are history mysteries that they did. So we have Shadows in the Glass House, which is 1621. And this girl is forced to be an indentured servant after she's kidnapped. It's the white man again. Trouble at Fort La Pointe. It's 1732, so I think this might be during the French-Indian War. I can't exactly remember. I'm sorry, I suck at these. Hoofbeats of Danger. This one's 1860. The Horse Girl is what I'm remembering from that one. I can't remember. Something about the Pony Express. This one is Secrets on 26th Street. This is 1914. I can't remember this story. Riddle of the Prairie Bride. This one's 1878. This one's like, this girl's getting like a stepmom and there's something mysterious about her. I can't remember. A Strange Case of Baby H, 1906. The San Francisco earthquake, and they find an abandoned baby. The Smuggler's Treasure, 1814. This is during the British-American War. I can't remember what it's called, but set during that time, I believe. Only lasted for like a year. The Night Flyers, 1918. Oh, this is during like World War I. Okay. And spies. We like spy books. And Watcher in the Piney Woods. This is 1865, so another Civil War book. There's a lot of Civil War books, by the way, if you haven't been paying attention. Okay, and the last stack of books that I got from my parents is a lot of Laura Ingalls Wilder books. I do want to preference this with, while I do like the series, a lot of it obviously did not translate well. These were written very, very long time ago when sentiments about Indigenous people were a lot different, and we're still wrong. We're still wrong. We're wrong then, or still wrong now. So shame on her for writing stuff about that. It's not a lot, but you know. So go into the, if you're ever going to read these, go into that with that in mind, that the stuff that is said about Indigenous people, and I believe that there's a couple things about Black people, but I'm not entirely sure. But the stuff that's said about them is wrong, was wrong, and is wrong still. So, without further ado, I used to be really, really big into Laura Ingalls Wilder. Still kind of am. I really like the story. I would like to go and visit all the houses and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I bought a lot of her books, and I read them when I was little. So, like, some of the books that I found were Little House in the Big Woods, Little House on the Prairie, which is probably the most famous one. Farmer Boy, which is about Almanzo, who she later marries. On the Banks of Plum Creek. By the Shores of Silver Lake. The Long Winter. And the First 4 Years. Oh, and These Happy Golden Years. These Happy Golden Years in the First 4 Years. So it goes from basically Laura's childhood that she can remember all the way up until her later married life. This one is the first 4 years of her marriage, where she has Rose and everything. She also wrote this series of letters, West from Home, and this Little House Sampler, which is a collection of early stories and remembrances from Laura and Rose, who's her daughter. And then they came out with like side stories, side novels from different other female characters. members of Laura's family. So we have Martha, who is like the matriarch of the whole bloodline up in the Scottish Highlands. This is Little House in the Highlands. I'm not sure how many books are in Martha's series, but this is one that I have. I can't remember if I had any more. I think I might have had another one of the Carolyn books, but this is Laura's mother, Little House in Brookfield. And then here's a couple of road stories. There's obviously more, but these are the only two that I found. We have Little House on Rocky Ridge and New Dawn on Rocky Ridge. So after a brief intermission where I had to go and calm down mentally from the insanity that I'm going to have to do when I get to a computer, we have the final stack. This is not anything to do with the American Girl Doll Company. I had to make sure I was recording, sorry. This is not anything to do with the American Girl Doll Company. These are books that got sent to me through the mail, like, legit, mail haul now. First up is my pre-order. I have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I'm very excited to read this. Love Ashley Poston. Love her work. One of my favorite authors. So, in this one, the main character is a ghostwriter. Her job is kind of on the chopping block. And then to put the icing on the cake, the shit cake, her dad dies. So she goes to the funeral home, and helps prepare her dad and stuff like that. But then she starts to notice the ghost, and, it's kind of hot. Such a weird concept for a book, but it's gonna work. All her books just kind of work. So yeah, very excited to read them. I also got Beguiled by Sila Panin. I am on tour for this one at some point. I can't remember. So this one, like when I read the synopsis, I did read the synopsis of this one, I actually did, because I thought it was going to be totally something else. But this is kind of a little shop of horrors. A little shop of horrors. But basically our main character, she's a weaver, she looms. I also loom, but it's a different kind of loom. It's not like a spindle. I think this is a spindle loom. I don't know. I'll have to read it to find out. But I have like a loom thing. I don't know. Anyways, so she looms. I loom. We all loom. But after her dad dies in a debtor's prison and her loom breaks, she needs to make some money fast because she's inherited her father's debt. So she makes this deal with, I think it's the Fae. And they're like, okay, yeah, all you have to do is just like give a drop of blood and you'll be able to make these silks and everything. So like every time she wants to use the loom, she has to give like a little drop of her blood, but then she starts to notice that the loom is taking more of her than what was promised. That's the Audrey part of, feed me Seymour. Yeah, it wasn't going to go there. Anyways, I'm excited to read this. I also got The Appearing House by Ali Malineko. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. I think I might be on tour for this, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, it says praise for Ghost Girl, so I hope this isn't a sequel. But this gives me a little bit of that one show, I can't remember, Monster House? Was that what it was called? Where the house is kind of like, this is kind of the same concept, and our this is middle grade, and our MC is about to celebrate 5 years of being cancer free. So this is going to be really good for kids that like horror novels, but also want to see themselves in an MC, and they might have someone to relate to. So I'm very excited to read this. I also got my pre-order copy of The Donnie Yongshin by FCE. If you don't know the Avatar The Last Airbender franchise, who are you and why are you living under a rock? Anyways, this is one of the past Avatars. In this world, the world is kind of divided into 4 factions. Kind of 4 factions, or more or less, depending on the timeline. So, in this world, people can get abilities, or sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just normal. But there's like air, water, fire, earth. I know I said those out of order. So sorry. I know that probably ticks some people off. But, so there's people that have like one ability, and it's usually an affinity with one of those elements. But then there's one person that's born every cycle that can control all 4 elements. They're called the Avatar, and they are basically there to kind of maintain peace among the world. Or to start chaos. Whatever they choose. They're kind of, in power. So this is one of the avatars. The TV series, the kids' TV series, mainly follows Aang, who is the last airbender, which is why it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is the Avatar franchise. Well, technically the Avatar: The Last Airbender franchise, because there's another Avatar. We're not doing James Cameron Blue Aliens here. We're doing the... Also, don't watch the movie. The movie doesn't exist. But SCE wrote the Kyoshi novels, who was the Earthbender Avatar before Aang. Fantastic duology. Love it to death. So I'm really excited to read about Yongchen. Really, really excited. And I'm kind of hoping, because I've always headcanoned Yongchen as Ace, so I'm kind of hoping that they're Ace. But I am not sure, and I have tried to avoid all spoilers. Typically, the avatars fall for a female member of their party. Aang with Katara, a Kyoshi with, I want to say Rina, but I know that's not it. But Kyoshi had a girlfriend. And then Kurik had a girlfriend. And a Roku... Yeah, Roku? No. He had a wife. God, this is going to bug me. Hold on. Hold on. I can get this. I can get this. The Avatar after Aang. Why? Why is my mind blanking? But she had a girlfriend too. So, the Avatar, which is... It goes into, like, a lot of, like, Asian mythology and stuff like that about reincarnation. So there's one spirit that is the Avatar, and I can't think of the word, but it's born again every couple of, after the last Avatar dies. So it's the same spirit. It's apparently that spirit really likes women, but I'm just kind of hoping that this one's Ace. I don't know. Anyways, we're moving on. We're moving on. I also got sent from Bookish First, Send Her Back and Other Stories by Munashi Kasiki. I know I'm mispronouncing it. I'm so sorry. But I believe that this is a collection of stories. Yeah, fresh telling of immigrant experience of black women in the United States. So it's going to be heartbreaking, but I am excited to read this and learn about and I'm excited to read this to learn and educate myself on some of the experiences that black women and immigrants go through. Another tour book. It is Bloody Fool for Love, a Spike prequel by William Ritter. I believe that he is the Oddlings author and also the Jacoby author. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, this is Spike from the Buffy franchise. Buffy's making a comeback. We got the Kendar Blake book. We got the Kristen White duology. And now we got a Spike novel. So, awesome. This one and the Kendar Blake Buffy sequel, The Next Generation, those are both Disney. So those are going to be canon to Disney if Disney has decided to take over that franchise. I don't know about Kirsten White's duology with the Slayerverse. I don't know about that one. But I believe there was some Easter egg. I don't know. I feel like there were some Easter eggs, but I've still not read it. I've only heard people talk about it. They say it's okay. But yeah, Spike. My husband, who's a big Buffy fan, was like, he was a demon. And I'm like, yeah, this is his story. And he's like, but he was a demon. And I'm like, yeah? I don't get it. Anyways, next book is The Undead Truth of Us by Brittany S. Lewis. I've been following Brittany on TikTok for a bit, so I've been very excited about this one. So, this might not look like it. But the title kind of gives it away. This is a zombie novel. So basically our main character, I think it's dual POV, but our main character, her mother transforms into a zombie. That has to be dealt with. So someone, I think a friend, moves in with her and then they start exhibiting symptoms, but they're like half zombieing. And so they're having to try to figure out what the hell's going on. This sounds so exciting. I want to go into this as blind as possible. I'm just so excited for this. So excited for this. I also got the third book of the Paola Santiago series. So this is Paola Santiago and the Sanctuary of Shadows by Taylor K. Meha. Taylor K. Mejia? I don't want to say Meha because that's daughter. That's daughter. Mejia. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Please someone correct me. But this is book 3. No spoilers. I still need to read book 1 and 2, so this would be a great time to just spam all of them. I'm very excited about this series. I also got sent a copy of Twice as Perfect by Louisa Onami. I'm so sorry. I know I mispronounced that. Also, the poor little corner of this ripped in shipment, but it's okay. I think I could fix that with tape or glue. It's okay. It's fine. I take the damaged ones here. So, let's see here. I remember I read about this book. I don't know if I'm on tour for it or not. So this seems to be a book that's going to be kind of along the same vein as Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. And With the Fire on High, I want to say. But it's going to explore, not With the Fire on High. I can't remember which one I was. But it looks like it's going to explore sibling themes. The Art of Running Away. There we go. The Art of Running Away. I don't know why I said With the Fire on High. But The Fire on High is really good. You should also read it. But it looks like along the same veins as The Art of Running Away. And, shoot, what was that first one I said? It is so early, guys. I'm so sorry. It's like 5 a.m. Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. Oh, my God. I'm going to have a field day with that in editing. But basically, our main character is under a lot of pressure to be perfect, to do all these extracurriculars, to make their parents happy, because their older brother got into a huge blowout with their parents, and he's left. He's not returned. No contact, whatever. So she's kind of trying to figure out what caused it to happen, and try to reconnect with him. So this is going to be a very sweet and emotional book. The main character and the other characters are Nigerian, so I'm very, very excited to read this. I think I might be on tour for this one as well, but I'm not entirely sure. It is It Looks Like Us by Allison Ames. Allison Ames wrote To Break a Covenant, which I thought was super good. I believe that this might be a side sequel. So basically, our main character, she gets a chance to internship in Antarctica, but on the way there's a plane crash. So as her and the rest of the survivors of the plane crash are trying to trek to the research area to, they're trying to survive and trying to make it. Probably not going to be that long of a trek, but our main character starts noticing that something is watching them and something is following them. And it's giving me, oh shoot, what is that one really, really gory movie? There's a gory movie that takes place in Antarctica. There's a group of researchers, and it kind of possesses / absorbs the people's bodies that it kills. It's kind of reminded me of that, but I'm not entirely sure what that movie is. Maybe I'll figure it out in editing when I do this later today. But super good. Allison Ames writes really good horror thrillers, so if you're looking for that, that's probably going to be a book you want to check out. Also, not to kill the mood, but we got a picture book. From horror to picture book. But this is If You're a Kid Like Gavin, the true story of a young trans activist. So it looks so good. I can't wait to review this one. Probably going to review it super quick because Not So Pregnant Friend is going to need some more books. Baby needs books. I also picked up this. You're probably like, what the hell is that? I picked it up at Target. It was in the dollar aisle. But what I want to do with it is that I want to hang it up, and I'm going to make a little document in here for people that borrow books, so that way when my friends and other people, I don't know what other people, because I don't let anyone else in my house besides my friends and my husband. But whenever they come and borrow a book, they can check it out, so to say, so that way I can keep track of what books are mine, what books are my friends. So that way, you know, when I'm helping someone go through some boxes, we're not sitting looking at a book being like, okay, whose book is this? I don't think it's mine. I think mine is EXO. You know, very confusing. I speak this from experience. I also got a Beacon box. This is not the Very Beacon Christmas box, although it is in a Very Beacon Christmas box. So Beacon box has stopped doing a monthly box. They are just doing special edition ones. And they were having a really big sale. So I think I actually bought some of this stuff before it went like on sale, but a lot of it was marked down, so I felt comfortable enough doing it. But you never know how long a book box website is. Sorry. I kicked you with the box. You never know how long a book box website is going to last after certain issues. Not saying that they are problematic or anything, just that moving from monthly to special edition tends to indicate some stuff's happened. Anyways, so we're going to unbox this. First up is this. I think it's a tapestry. Don't worry, this has been long enough. I don't think it's affected by monkeypox. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's excuse me. It says, I am always surprised to discover that when the world seems darkest, there exists the greatest opportunity for light. This is from Bridget Kimmerer, from one of the Curse So Dark and Lonely books. I love that series. This one is another tapestry. Look, I don't remember what I ordered. It was long ago. Things have happened. Stuff has been said. Oh look, this is cute. I don't know what this is themed after, but we got a crown, we got gears. Oh, this might be the Lunar Chronicles? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the Lunar Chronicles. That's cool. I don't support Marissa Meyer anymore. For reasons. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed by her. But I do like the series, so I'll get fan art stuff that she's not going to profit off of. It's fine. I also got this cool little journal. It says, I wish I could freeze this moment right here, right now, and live in it forever, by Suzanne Collins. So this is from The Hunger Games, and it's just a little journal. I thought I could use it for something. I don't know. Look, I like The Hunger Games, so it was my money anyways. We got, this is another, how many damn tapestries and scarves did I get? Tapestry or scarf? That's the game that we're playing. Tapestry. Knowledge always has the potential to be dangerous. It's a more powerful weapon than any sword or spell. Sorcery of Thorns. I still need to read that book. But yeah, look at this. It looks so great. To the wash you go. I also got 3 out of the 4 Stalking Jack the Ripper mugs. Oh my god, these are huge. So this one is the 4th one. This is the Chicago World Fair. No spoilers. No spoilers. I've yet to read it. Also, it looked a little wonky. It looked a little, that's the word I'm looking for. Unfocused. This one looks a little bit better. This one is from the second book. The hunting, Stalking Jack the Ripper, hunting Prince Dracula? Something. It's book 2. And here's the 3rd one. We're still having issues with the fuzziness of this, but this one is based after the 3rd one, Escaping Houdini. So yeah, they're really good. They look, honestly, the artwork looked a little better on the website, but I'm a stocking jacket for fans, so I'm not that upset about it. They're huge. They're going to be great cake mugs, and they're going to be good for photos. But yeah, that only took a few hours, and like 50% of my sanity. But I finished this massive mail haul. I'm so sorry if you sat through all of this. I hope you got something out of it. I did not. Unfortunately, I did not. It's okay though. Say lovey. Anyways, I will see y'all later. Bye.